Welcome to Citizen Survival Plan. In today's video, I am going to do an overview on CHIRP, how I get into CHIRP and programming radio, and a lot of the settings and what they do, and how to do repeater searches with coordinates inside of CHIRP. So without further ado, let's just get right into the video. Okay, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is get an address for CHIRP. Now, this is completely random. I've just picked a random place on the map. This is Indiana. This is Indiana. This is Fort Wayne, and we're just going to click on the Clyde Theater. We're just going to use this address for coordinates. So let's just copy the address. And then I will link this in the description of the video. This is just an easy way for me to show you how to get coordinates for CHIRP. We are going to go ahead and just put that address we copied in. It's the Clyde Theater in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Again, totally random. I just picked a place and we're going to hit find. It's going to give us latitude and longitude. We're going to copy both of them over. First, I'm going to start with the latitude, and we are going to go into CHIRP. So let's go ahead and just get the radio going. Let's download from the radio. And then I have a Baofeng K5 Plus here. It's plugged in with a programming cable up into my computer, and it's already selected here, but you need to pick your radio here. Just pick the brand and the model, and I'm going to turn it on. Get that on the camera, and we're just going to read. It's going to give you a warning and you're going to ignore it, and you're just going to read from the radio. All right, it pulled up what's in the radio. It's really nothing. Sometimes they come with some frequencies in them. I just delete it. This is sort of something with CHIRP that's weird. You want to click on the bar of the first channel and then hold shift and then click the last. You know, if there was 100 channels here, or 4 like this, hold shift and then click the last one. It'll highlight them all. You can't drag and copy things like normal. CHIRP is like grids, so you gotta hit shift. And we're gonna go ahead and delete whatever's in here. Don't care about it. Okay, now we have an empty radio, and we're gonna go back to what I was doing before. We want to look at RepeaterBook. And this is really what you need to be doing when you try and get repeaters imported into your radio. So we were in Indiana. That's the address we got the coordinates for. So let's go ahead and get that into the radio. Indiana. And I remember I copied the latitude already. So we're going to go ahead and paste that in. And let's go back and get longitude. Copy. Go back into CHIRP. And we're going to copy the longitude into there. Okay, make sure you have your state picked. And this is where you can do multiple different searches. So right now we're going to do amateur radio. This is how I would do it if you had ordered a radio from me. I'm most likely going to do it in 50-mile radius. Sometimes I do a little bit more if there's not much going on. Or if there's a lot of mountains around you, I will actually go a little bit further, because I know if there's repeaters up on that mountain, I know they'll broadcast over a big area. Anyways, so here's what we need to do with these modes. There's a couple different modes down here that we're going to have to pick for this radio. Now, most radios are a dual band, meaning they're going to listen to 2 meter and 70 centimeter, or transmit, listen, whatever. They're capable of 2 meter and 70 centimeter. Because I have a tri-band radio, I can actually pick the 2 meter band, the 1.25 meter band. That's what you get with your tri-band. You get that extra band in there. And then I'm going to get 70 centimeters also. So we've picked our bands, and let's do modes. Now, we are not doing DMR or any sort of digital stuff today, so we want to select just FM. That's going to make it a lot easier to drag repeaters over when it's time to move them into the radio. We don't want a bunch of DMR stuff. It's just going to error out when we try and put it into a FM radio. We have that. We have our coordinates in, the state. We're looking for amateur radio. We've done our bands. Open repeaters only. I have that clicked. I don't want to get a bunch of repeaters where people don't want me to be on them or anything. And then include cached. We want to include cached. This brings in results from other areas. So if you're on a state line or a border or something with another state, it will actually grab repeaters from other states that are close to that coordinate. Because remember, we have Indiana picked. So it will kind of pull in some other repeaters known to that area that can work. Okay, so let's pull that in. Okay, so this is our search results for Fort Wayne, Indiana. These are the ham repeaters that pulled in, and you're going to see there's a 220 there. So that's that first one, the Freemason Hall here. I'm going to highlight it. This pulled in a 220. That is that third band you get when you have a tri-band radio. Now this is 2 meter, the 146, and then obviously you'll see 443. That is a UHF. That's a 70 centimeter frequency. So we know that it pulled everything in here. And then again, I'm going to click that top channel and I'm going to hold shift and I'm simply going to click the bottom and it's going to highlight everything. I am not right clicking. I'm just left clicking, but I'm holding shift when I do that. That way I can copy everything over. And then obviously I'm going to right click. I'm going to copy. And this is my radio that I've clicked up here, the K5 Plus. I'm probably just going to start this at 100 because I want to put some other channels into that. So I scroll down and I am going to right click now and I'm going to paste all those frequencies on my search into this. I want to spread this out a little bit. And there's going to be some information on the side of this. Just tells you where it is. Now, when I program a radio for people, I will put H, because I put GMRS and ham and a bunch of other stuff into the radio when I do it. So H is going to be marked ham. That's just how I do it. It's your personal radio. You can do whatever you want. So another thing that you're going to want to do is do a GMRS search. And that's really going to be a little bit more simple. We're going to click radio again. And we're going to do a search, query search. And let's do RepeaterBook again. And instead of the service being amateur, we're just going to do GMRS now. And we want to, and the modes and stuff don't matter because GMRS is all one. It's not like ham where you're kind of pulling in multiple bands and stuff. So this, you're just going to search. Open repeaters only FM. There's no digital on GMRS, so you don't really need to worry about that, but you can leave it all clicked. No results. And this is the problem with RepeaterBook and GMRS. This is where you have to go to mygmrs.com. Now, I have to be a little bit careful here about showing mygmrs.com. There's some text in there about not sharing anything, but I will share my repeater. And it's right here. I had it on the screen just to show you. Now, if we went to Fort Wayne, Indiana, there is some repeaters around there, and it's going to look just like this. I'm going to scroll over. It's going to show an area around the repeater on what it covers. And this is my repeater. So that's the actual tones and everything for it. And just to input this, I know this isn't for Fort Wayne, but I just want to show you how to get a GMRS repeater in from mygmrs.com. I wish they could import a CHIRP file, but it doesn't appear that that's possible yet. So I just copy the frequency. We're going to have to add some zeros, so just bear with me. So let's go back to my K5, X out of that. And let's say I want to put, let's just say this was a Fort Wayne GMRS repeater that I have now. And let's say I wanted to put it in. So we want to just paste that frequency in. And we're going to add 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. Because it's got to equal the right amount. And we'll call this my RPT. This is my repeater. And we know the tone was digital. So we need to go to a digital tone. and we want to make this 311. Now, I got to remember. Yeah, it is. Yep, that is the tone on my repeater. And let's go back to CHIRP. Now, another thing you have to do with a repeater is you want to look at duplex. And CHIRP will automatically do this. It knows it's plus 5,000. And CHIRP's usually pretty good about this. You don't normally have to enter the actual numerical value for your offset. It will do it automatically like you just saw there. That means that when I hit the push to talk transmit button on my radio, once this is actually in, what it's going to do is transmit up to 467,675, not 462. So I'm going to go up in frequency when I actually hit the push to talk. That's all that does. That is your offset. You can add a comment in here if you ever wanted to read it. It's just like, this is John's repeater. It doesn't matter. You can add whatever you want. I also like to use RadioReference to pull in some emergency frequencies. So let's do that. Like, this is like your cops and stuff. And we are going to need a zip code here. So let's go to RadioReference.com. Now, you do need an account here if you're going to do it via CHIRP. You can always go to RadioReference.com and go to the databases and look. But I have a premium account with them because I use it all the time. You can hit browse, and you could just pick your state, Indiana. And Fort Wayne is right there. So we can look and we can see all kinds of stuff. And look, we got fire dispatch and it's on FMN. That's narrowband FM. So this frequency here could pull right over. We should be able to copy it. I might have to add some zeros, but let's copy that frequency and let's go ahead and put it into my K5 before I even do that search. And we will put it after that. Let's put it on channel 140. Paste. I should have to do 3 zeros. Yeah. You just have to actually add a real frequency, which is typically adding 3 zeros at the end. So we copied it over into CHIRP, and this is the Allen Fire Company, and it's fire dispatch. So we'll just do it. It's fire dispatch. You do not need the tone or the offset or anything when you're putting emergency frequencies in. In fact, I'm going to do something really quick here to show you that I don't even want to transmit on this frequency. So let's just put the name of it here. Fire dispatch. And you can name it whatever you want. You don't have to copy it directly out of that. We're going to show you how to do it on RadioReference, an actual pool here too. But one thing I want to do when I add something like this is I don't ever want to transmit on this. So just like we did duplex on the GMRS channel for plus 5,000, we want to turn this off. So when I program this into my radio, if I turn the duplex off, I will not be able to key up on this no matter what. When I click my radio and I hit the push to talk, it's just going to beep at me. It's not going to transmit. So if you ever put emergency frequencies into your radio so you can listen, make sure you turn the duplex off because you don't want to accidentally even transmit on those channels. Okay, let's get back to actually doing a pool if you had an account with RadioReference. I just need the zip code for that Indiana town again, so I'm going to go back. It's probably going to be here. 46809. 6809. 6809. And let's go ahead and pull it. And it's going to pull just like it pulls repeater information. It's going to show a chart with them all in there. I do want to go through and show you some stuff we're not going to be able to listen to. So NFM, throw it in there. As long as it's like 150, 140 frequency or ultra high frequency, which is 70 centimeter. Like this can go in, it's NFM and it's on a 453, so that's ultra high frequency. Our radio is capable of that. I want to find one that it's not going to... AM stuff it's probably not going to be capable of, but here we go. DMR. So if you wanted to listen to Sweetwater sound, I don't know what that is. Probably some sort of business out there. We're not going to be able to do it because it's on DMR. It's got to be FM or NFM. Interestingly enough, I don't see any P25 on here, but sometimes you'll see the mode will be P25. You will not be able to put that into this radio. Now, this is where we want to copy this stuff over. I want to click on this and just copy, and this is the police. Let's go back over, and we're going to add this too. We're going to paste that right in there. That's the police, probably the dispatch or something. Again, we want to turn this off. No duplex on that. We do not want to transmit on the police frequencies. I wouldn't even try it. Even turn the duplex off. Don't sit there and hit your push to talk button just in case, but it will turn it off. That's how I send my radios out. These are all off when you get them. You will not be able to transmit there. Here's another thing that you want to do when you're making a radio is I want to go into File and Open Stock Configuration. This is going to be a lot of stuff in here, like the MURS and the FRS GMRS channels. Let's go ahead and click on that and open that up. This is FRS and GMRS, so I'm going to just skip the FRS stuff because it doesn't matter. It's the same as GMRS. So we want to start at GMRS 1, and those are the repeater channels. I don't normally add them into the radio because they're blank and it just adds confusion. So we want to get all the simplex channels in though. So hold shift, I'm going to click up to 22, I'm going to copy, I'm going to go to my Baofeng, and I'm going to paste that. There's all my GMRS channels. Now why don't I put the repeater channels in? They are just blank channels. There's no tones or anything on them, so they're just going to bring you nowhere when you transmit. I only actually enter real GMRS channels into CHIRP. Like if there's actually a repeater there and I add the tones and everything. I don't really see the point of adding the blank repeater channels. It doesn't help you, it just is confusing. I'm going to go back into stock configuration and we want MURS. So you can see it just keeps opening up more tabs, which is not a problem. It's just showing you that's what it's doing there. Again, shift up to 5. There is 5 MURS channels and we are going to chuck that into the radio too. Paste. So now we have all the MURS, we have all the GMRS simplex channels. I got my local GMRS repeater in here, and I have a slew of ham repeaters I can listen to. And if I have my ham license, or you have your, I have mine, but if you had a ham license, you could transmit on these channels once they were in your radio. I just want to do 1 or 2 examples of tones and cross tones on CHIRP. So obviously, tone is just, if you are just using a tone just to get into the repeater, you're not receiving one. TSQL is both, that's transmit and receive, and it would both be the same. And digital, and whenever you set digital like this, you're going to see you just pick one, and again, it's both. It's transmit and receive. Okay, so let's do a cross tone really quick. And this is where it's tone, so that'd be CTCSS, transmit and receive. Let's say you had a digital to get into the repeater, but the repeater transmitted an analog tone. That would be this one. And then you could just pick. You would pick your transmit DCS tone. Let's say it's 71. And let's say the repeater spit out a 241.8. That is the way that you would do that. And basically, you can pick anything you want in here. You just got to pick the mode. You can have 2 digitals. You can have a digital and a analog. It's whatever you want. That is cross tone. I don't know why people do that. I'm sure there's a reason. I think it has to do with keeping people from finding the repeater. But that is a very short explanation on that. One last thing I want to show before I close this video out. These are the NOAA channels, And it's just in here, stock configuration, US NOAA Weather Alert. I already clicked it. But again, I'm just going to click the top, hold shift, and I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste that into this radio. I'll put it below everything, below the dispatch and whatnot. But there you go. There's your weather. Now, one thing with weather that I want to do is your weather channels are always on. Always. So they're always going to transmit. This skip feature, when I hit scan with the radio and it scans all channels, I don't want to hear the weather every single time. I'll click on the weather if I want to listen to it. So you want to go through and just skip all the weather channels. We want to just hit skip on all of them. Otherwise, they're going to come up every time you hit scan on your radio and you're trying to listen to repeaters or other information. I just don't want to hear the weather every time. Let's do a real quick overview of just some of the settings you want to look at. Let's just start from the top. Squelch is, I usually just set that in the middle. That determines whether it's going to take in a really fuzzy signal or not. I usually will just set it in the middle. Battery voltage, now depending on what kind of radio you have, it'll give you a logo option or battery voltage. I usually just choose battery voltage. When you turn it on, it'll give you a battery voltage reading, which is kind of neat. Voice prompt English. If you do not want to hear that lady's voice inside your radio, just do not click voice prompt. Backlight timer, that is for just when your radio's idle, and it determines how long the backlight stays on. 20 seconds or whatever you want. Key auto lock, that's going to lock your radio automatically if you're not using it. Beep, that is when you're pushing your buttons, it'll beep at you. Roger beep is when you let off your PTT and it gives you an audible beep to let everyone know you've ended your transmission. For whatever reason, people on repeaters hate it, so I just leave it off. This is a big one, the channel A and B display. So as we were naming the channels in our memory banks, this will display it either as what you named it, name, the frequency of that channel, or the channel number, the numerical channel that it ended up on. Now, if you've named it, you probably just want to leave it on name because you named it in the system. Some of this other stuff I've gotten into on other videos. I'm not going to go through each one of them, but those are kind of the important ones there. Vox, definitely leave Vox off. Everyone hates Vox. Let's go back up to the top here really quick. The dual watch. Most radios have two channels up at the same time. They have an A and a B. Dual watch will listen to both of them at the same time. So I usually leave that on. Sometimes people can get confused by dual watch. They don't know what is coming in on the radio, and they'll turn it off. But it's really just a preference. All those settings can be accessed inside of the radio from the front panel. You just got to go in and mess with them. Okay, to wrap the video up, we are simply just going to upload this into the radio. All this is going to go in exactly how it's named. The fire dispatch, New Haven police, and we have duplex off. Skip on all the weather. Just for the video purposes, I'm not going to shut all this off right now, but let's just throw it into the radio. You're going to click radio, and you are going to go upload to radio. Obviously, we already pulled everything in from the radio, so we kind of already did our handshake with this particular radio, and we can upload to it now. It's going to give you another warning. I will be ignoring, and whoop, the radio is off. My bad. Radio's on. Make sure your radio's on, and you can go ahead and just copy whatever you want into the radio. And we will show you the programmed radio here. Okay, now we have our programmed radio. We uploaded it and everything, and let's kick it on. You'll see the battery voltage, and you're going to see some of the channels we put in. There's the weather, and there's all your GMRS channels. And everything that we programmed in is in here. I could also just hold and scan. That is just going to scan all of the memory banks that we uploaded and put into this radio. And as you can see, it's on names, so all the names are displaying on the radio as well. And that is it. You have now programmed a radio, and you are good to use it. Okay, I don't know who made it through the entire video, but remember, if you ever don't feel like getting into all of this, I do charge $99, and I just do all of that programming for you and send you a radio. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of this video, and we'll see you next time.